What is up guys? Today's a big day because we'll be driving the brand new Volvo XC40 Recharge Pure Electric. This is the P8 variant, so all-wheel drive dual electric motors, but I'll introduce the car a little bit later. For the drive today, we'll be driving from the Club Saujana all the way to Janda Baik and back. So the round trip we're looking at is about 200 kilometers, putting to test the automaker's claim of around 400 kilometers of range on a full charge. So we want to see how usable or how true it is to the numbers based on this drive today. And we'll do a bit of driving upgunting, and apparently if you do the drive right, you can come back with a little over 50% charge. So that's pretty optimistic. So we'll do our own testing, but for now, let me just talk a little bit about the specs of the car. Now, the XC40 EV is the third variant of the XC40 to be launched locally in Malaysia. They are all locally assembled, which means this EV is the first ever electric vehicle to be assembled in the country. Now, this car is Volvo's first ever EV, and there'll be a second one coming, which is the C40 later this year. And from 2020 onwards until 2025, Volvo Car Malaysia will be launching one brand new electric vehicle every year. So a lot of exciting times coming. So the thing about Volvo Car Malaysia is that they have been one of the most heavily invested automakers in the country, having set up their local assembly shop here for decades already. I don't know why they've always flown under the radar, but the things that they make have always offered a lot more value for the same amount of money. Like for example, this direct competitor would be the Mercedes-Benz EQA. Not the best looking car, if I have to be honest, but that car has only one electric motor. Here you get twin electric motors as standard, and it makes 400 over PS and 660 Newton meters of torque. The 0 to 100, 4.9 seconds. So in terms of outright performance, range and design, this car clearly trumps the EQA. Now, if you ask me right off the bat which EV would I get for the same, roughly I guess, the same amount of money, definitely the XC40 EV, because number one, it looks so much better, and number two, it's got a lot more performance on tap. Just to touch a little bit on the design side of things, the XC40 EV has a completely enclosed grille. Underneath this bonnet, which we call the frunk, has a 31-litre space, full LED headlights, full LED fogs, 19-inch wheels, dual tone. This is staggered for the first time because Volvo says the bulk of the power in standard driving mode is from the rear electric motor. So this is doing most of the job, and therefore the extra traction is required for it to propel the car forward. You've got keyless entry on all four doors, folding side mirror with 360-degree camera. No sunroof, but that's okay. It's a very hot country anyway. And at the back, you've got no tailpipes. But otherwise, for the most part, the XC40 looks just like the regular ICE and plug-in hybrid version, except for small badge and the grille differences. So let's see what it's like to start up the car. 95%. So the thing about this EV is there's no push start button. All you have to do to drive off is flick it into D and it's ready to go. I freaking love this. This is such a cool feature to have. So as you can see here, we have about 400 kilometers of estimated range. The top here says 440, so I guess if you're driving optimally and if you have a light foot, which you should have because this car is so much more powerful than a lot of other EVs out there, you're not gonna have to prod the pedal a lot to get the car moving, despite this weighing about 2.1 tons. Okay, so how does it feel to drive? Honestly, it does feel like 300 kilowatts. That's 408 PS and 660 Newton meters of torque. This being an EV, you can see, just jam on the pedal and off you go. The beauty about it being electric is, of course, by now you would know that 660 Newton meters of torque comes on instantly. You don't have to wait for the engine to rev in its sweet spot. You just prod and off it goes, no matter what speed, no matter what condition, and it's just that instantaneous. Other benefits of this EV is that it's a really quiet ride. You don't get a lot of NVH, and it's a very comfortable, kind of peaceful car to drive in the city. Some downside is that, number one, because the car weighs about 400 to 500 kilograms more than the regular ICE version, is that the suspension balance is slightly upset now. So you have a little bit more pitching while braking and a little bit more border roll while cornering. So if you're driving up Genting, it can be a little bit nauseating for your passengers. But as a car to drive, these are compromises that EVs have to make. So it's only a matter of adjusting, and it's really not a car you want to whack up Genting, for example, because this car is not made for that. However, the suspension, I feel like they didn't do much to compensate for the weight gain, and so the ride can become a little bit crashy, especially over pockmarked surfaces like this. It does feel a little bit more unsettled than what you would come to expect from a CMA platform like this, because if I remember correctly, the T5 that I drove back in 2018 had a pretty decent ride quality. This one feels a little bit busier, and it doesn't have adaptive dampers to compensate for all this extra weight gain. Okay, so after driving the car for a while, there are a couple of quirks about it that I have to bring to your attention. And number one is that whenever you exit the driver's seat, as soon as you open the door, the car shuts off. There is no way for you or the passenger to turn the car on or leave the car running when you go and tapao food, for example. As long as the driver's door is open and shut, and when you leave the car and no one is in the driver's seat, that's it. The car goes off. There is absolutely no way for you to manually turn the car on again. That is quite a big drawback, I think, because then your passenger will have to do the tapaoing or the running of the errands. Number two is the one pedal operation. So basically the only pedal that you have to use is the gas pedal, or in this case the accelerator pedal, not gas pedal. As soon as you lift off, the car will brake and it will use the electric motor to regenerate part of that kinetic energy and back into electrical energy lah. The thing about it is there is no granularity to the braking force. It is always this single force when you're driving below 110 kilometers. It can be a bit jarring, it can be a bit much, and it can be a bit nauseating because unlike the Taycan, the Mini Cooper SE, even the Honda City RS, you can change the intensity of the brake force, especially when you lift off the pedal. Now this is not a problem when you're cruising at 120 kilometers per hour and above because the brake force is reduced quite a fair bit. But if you're doing a lot of city driving, man, you've got to get used to modulating the throttle pedal. Otherwise, if you lift off completely, it's going to brake a little bit too violently for your liking. As for the Android head unit, I find it to be pretty responsive. You also have over-the-air updates here, so that's nice. And as you can see, these are the features. The Play Store, you have Google Assistant and Google Maps. And this is really nice because you can just use voice control to tell it what to do, where to go, and all that stuff. You can clear here, and it's going to bring you back to the main menu. Okay, so it's a lot more simplified than the older head unit. Now, the problem is that climate control is still embedded here, but again, it's a snappier head unit. You get quicker direct access to all your climate control settings, and that's nice. Other than that, it's the whole typical XC40 experience. Yeah, you've got Harman Kardon sound system, so top of the line for the XC40. Everything here feels nice, premium, luxurious, and well built, I have to say. You also get an upgraded version of the whole Volvo Advanced Driving Safety, so it now includes rear AEB on top of everything else that is already standard on the XC40. So Volvo is clearly pushing the boundaries here, and I applaud them for it. And for the price, I think it's great. I really do think so. Time for some closing thoughts. I know it's a little bit short on information, but that's also because we have a half day's drive only. We'll take the car again for a full review, but for now I want to close on the subject of charging. Now, if you have the XC40 EV as your second or third car or whatever, and you drive it around in the city a lot. So in terms of charging, we recommend that you go with an 11 kilowatt AC wall box at home, and doing so, if you plug it in overnight, it's gonna take about 7.5 to 8 hours to fully charge the battery. That is assuming your battery is flat. It can also take 150 kilowatts of DC charging, and doing so will net you a 0 to 80% state of charge in under 40 minutes. And also not forgetting the fact that EVs cost a little less to run over the long term because you have less fluid changes, slightly longer service intervals. I guess the wear and tear parts that are slightly more prone to Failure would be the rubber bushings, the suspension, as well as the tires because of, weight issues. But beyond that, I think it's a pretty decent car. If you consider the price point, the build quality, the design, I think Volvo has stayed true to its ethos of offering more performance per dollar, and I will leave you guys at that. Let us know what you think of the car. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below so we can attend to them when we get this car for a proper loan/review duration. So for now, I leave it to you guys. Sound off in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.